all consenting adults over the age of 21. So imagine you walk into work one day, right? It's your 6 in the morning, you're still waking up, you just came to the job site, you're still hanging around the job box. And then you hear some commotion and you go outside to find that your coworker has fallen off their ladder and got severely injured. These kinds of injuries are actually abundant in the workplace and are almost every time preventable. Today we're going to walk you through just a little timeline of a job site, and we're going to explain where you can find these problems and how you can nip them in the bud so nobody gets hurt. Starting off first, we're going to start with the pre-planning phase. These statistics are the workplace fatality statistics going from 2015 to 2022. Over here, they're broken down into job scope, like construction, transportation, administrative work, and retail. If you look closely, you can notice that the one place that has every other type of job beat out is the construction site. And that's because people are neglectful of their PPE. It doesn't just start with when you get to the job site and you start working. No, your safety starts months before you even set foot there in the pre-planning stage, where they have safety inspectors that go out, they read through the blueprints, they look through everything that could happen, and they identify hazards before they happen, and they try to make changes to keep them from injuring you. The second part of being safe on the job site isn't just practicing safe lifestyles, but also your personal protective equipment when you're actually there, right? Now, this all might look like stuff that's there to annoy you, to be a hindrance to you, but every one of these are chosen to keep you safe. Eye protection is there so you don't, lose a screw while you're cutting something and it hits you in the eye. And, nobody wants to lose an eye to something. I know a coworker of mine back at a company I used to work at that actually lost all visibility and movement in his left eye because he wasn't wearing safety glasses and a screwdriver came back and hit him in the eye. That's a lifetime. He'll never be able to see out of that eye again. Could have been prevented by personal protective equipment, right? Hearing protection is very important because no matter what job site you're at, you are going to be exposed to loud noises. At my job at a corn processing plant, there are certain areas that I can't go in without having 2 forms of hearing protection on, because if I didn't, I would be experiencing permanent hearing loss within 5 minutes, guys. That's how easily it can happen. 5 minutes without wearing something, and you are injured for life. Hand protection is one of those ones that are sneaky. It looks stupid. You don't want to wear gloves while you work. It makes it hard for you to use your screws. It makes it hard for you to see where you're working. But without hand protection, when you're trying to pull a gas line out, you slip and you hit a nail plate, that could be prevented with cut-resistant gloves. Moving on, we have the foot protection, and it extends past just your typical steel-toed boots. There's different kinds of boots, fire-rated and arc-rated boots. Electricians, they have to wear arc-rated boots when they're working inside of a bucket, because if they have an arc flash, their shoe is melded to their skin, it becomes a part of them. And I've seen videos of it. It's not something you want to do, guys. It's not fun. Moving on, you have your head protection, which is one of those things where it's also a hindrance because you can't get your head up into those tight spaces to see where you're working in the ceiling or in your car. But without that head protection, you move your head just a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, and you've hit a screw, and now you have a gash. That's an incident. You have to get drug tested, go to a pharmacy, urgent care is what I meant, and it becomes a whole process that could have been avoided had you just worn the hard hat, right? Your respiratory protection, that's for stuff when you're exposed to just harmful chemicals in the air. When you're cutting concrete at a job site, no matter what, you're releasing something called crystalline silica in there. Enough exposure without respiratory protection, you get cancer. You can develop cancer in anybody. Nobody is safe. And then you have your stuff like your high visibility shirts and high visibility vests. They may look ugly, sure. They may not be comfortable, but what they will do is make sure that a driver and a piece of equipment can see you before they hit you when it's dark out. And if you refer back to the graph, the biggest kind of fatalities that happened in any workplace was a transportation fatality. Something that could have been avoided if they had a apt equipment operator and somebody was wearing high visibility equipment. Now, just because you're out of the rough and finish doesn't mean that you are safe. You still have, let's say you just put in a gas line. A safety inspector comes through and they look for problems. They look for things to catch before they make whatever building you're in okay to go in. They don't catch that gas line that's punctured, just one spark and the whole place is up in flames. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to go up in flames for a day. So please, just keep in mind that when you are working, just because you're wearing all of this safety equipment on you, doesn't mean that they want you to look stupid. They don't want you to feel clunky. They want you to be safe. They want you to be able to come home to this, guys. To come home to your 2 kids. They don't want you not coming home. A coworker of mine went down for heat stroke. Oh, had his family worried sick. You can avoid these kinds of things if you take the necessary precautions. I know I didn't touch on it, but heat stroke is as easy as just drinking water every hour. So just keep in mind, guys, as you're leaving, it's not to be stupid, it's to be safe.